everyone, welcome back to our channel startuplanes.com. I'm Namrata and I'm taking interviews of the CEOs and founders of several innovative startups in India. In today's interview, I have with me the CEO of Asteria Belmont, Mr. Syed Faizan Azim. Syed is a young and brilliant mathematician from the University of Edinburgh, and in today's interview, we'll be discussing on what it takes to become a CEO and turn a startup into a multi-million dollar empire. Sounds interesting? Let's get into the video.
Hello Faizan, welcome to today's session. I'm Namrata and I'll be taking your interview. So if you please could kindly introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi Namrata, this is Faizan. I'm the CEO of Asteria Belmont. Yeah, I think that's pretty simple.
Okay, so if you could just tell about your education history a bit, like what you used to do.
Okay, so I am doing my master's from the University of Edinburgh. So I am the only Indian who's doing my master's, the second year master's. I got a direct entry in the second year master's at the University of Edinburgh. So there were pretty publications on that. So 13 to 15 publications on the fact that I'm doing this thing. I also got offered from the other best universities, including Manchester, Columbia. Yeah, that's pretty. I'm in my third year master's.
Okay, so how did you decide to go abroad and do your master's or further education?
Okay, so I think I always wanted to become a mathematician, and I mean my way was pretty clear. Okay, I wanted to do my degree from the top universities in the world, and pretty much Edinburgh was number one according to Shanghai World Ranking of 2000 in the UK. So that was an obvious thing.
Okay, so talking about startups, how did you get introduced to this world of startups? You doing masters already. So how did you get introduced to this business-oriented world?
Correct. So this is a question I get asked most of the time because I do not have an industry background. So you see, I'm a mathematician and all of a sudden coming into the business world, trying to understand the business strategies. I got to understand the legal structure of the company that we're building, and we're also having our company in different parts of the country, in 5 different cities, in 4 different countries. In the UK, it is going to be the parent company in the UK, which is going to be Asteria Belmont PLC. In the US, a C corp in the US, an LLC in UAE, and a private limited company in India. So pretty much understanding the legal structure, understanding the business models, the financials, trying to have a work-life balance between my masters and my startup. That's a total different ballgame out there. Right? So it is more of I gave an exposure to myself, trying to be with people. I think it's more important for you to network yourself. I think it's quite underrated in this point of time. So it's very important that you keep yourself around these people who are great at this. So I think I met a lot of entrepreneurs who are trying to bring this change. I did a lot of self-learning. So I bought a couple of books. I learned it, and then it's pretty much self-learning and analysis. Yeah.
So talking about abroad, had you met any mentors or any, like you're saying, you had met mentors and entrepreneurs. So how much?
Sorry. Right.
So we're talking about foreign education, and you are saying that you had met some entrepreneurs and mentors during your time. So how much do you think that has helped you in starting your startup journey?
I think that plays a very key role, right? That's what I was talking about networking. So I think, you say, if you're among 4 idiots, you will be the 5th one. And if you're among, 4 geniuses, then you're going to be the 5th one. So I think it's very important, the kind of people that you surround yourself with. Try your best, try to do the networking, probably this should be the whole motto of social media, right? So you try to connect with people, and I think, I had 3 to 4 very influential people in my life, and who have motivated me in any possible field that I do, right? So I always see them as my role models and do accordingly.
Okay. So talking about the startup world, what else? When you wanted to start out as a entrepreneur, so why did you choose starting out in India and not where you were studying already?
Right, that's a great question. In fact, I want to do something for the country. It's as simple as that. Right? So we make sure, the production of our devices, you know, on a broad spectrum, we try our best to do all of this in India. So our products are proudly made in India. They're made by Indians majority. Of course, you see this as a global market share, but this is something which is made in India with a certain vision in mind. Right? So I would probably complete my studies in Edinburgh. I would come down, and Bangalore would be the head office for Asteria Bilmont. So we'll do the entire thing from Bangalore. So it's going to be made in India, all in India. So that's pretty much.
So when you were staying abroad, what is the basic difference between having a startup culture there and between in India?
Right. So you see, there's a community that exists. I think what we as Indian entrepreneurs must really support this field, right? So try to build up this community of people who are really passionate, and you make sure that you give them right guidance or right support. I think there's a lot of difference between doing a startup in Edinburgh. We are also going to set up and appear in IIT. We're going to have our entity in the UK as well. Because I've been there, I've worked with people there, I've also discussed about the startup ideas, and people from my university have been involved into this. So I pretty well know the work ethics, the work difference, and the kind of support that you get there, right? I'm not telling you, India is not a startup hub. In fact, we Indians have a great opportunity. So in terms of, probably you can talk about the VCs. We have leading VCs. We have people who truly understand and appreciate your startup ideas. That's a different ballgame. But I think it's a kind of community that you see there, and the kind of risk taking that people have. Right. So in India, on a majority, you see people are more happy doing their, regular course, doing the job, a 9-to-5 job. They're really happy with that. So I think the major difference comes in the risk-taking aspect of it. So I mean, people there are really, really, really risk-taking, and I think that's the majority of the difference that I saw. Doing startup in India than in the UK, at least. Right.
Well, in India, when we talk about having a startup, it's relatively a new term. Nobody knows much about it till now. So, according to you, is India really stepping up and creating an ecosystem for startups to grow viably?
Certainly. I mean, I think you see it in terms of the growth. And I'm really proud to say that India, I think we are making a great progress in India. Right? So you see things like the establishment of the VCs, the funding that has happened in India in this particular month. I think that's close to so much. I mean, it's probably a record-breaking thing, right? So the startup funding itself is a suggestive data that I was giving you that there are a lot of startups in India and in different segments, right? So it's in all different sectors of industry, not just limited to one thing. So I see that creativity in Indians, that creativity in Indian startups, it's a total different thing, and it's way above what you get to see in other places, and you see the improvement that is happening, right? So the growth in the startup, the kind of change that we are bringing in, the kind of progress that we are making as Indians in the startup industry and as entrepreneurs, I think that's remarkable. I really appreciate that.
Okay. So talking about the consumers, like you were saying, that the consumers also need an awareness about whatever your product is. So according to you, is it easier to sell or aware your consumers abroad or aware and educate Indian crowd?
Okay, so
what is the mentality difference here?
Okay, so it totally depends on what is the market sector that you're talking about, right? So if you're talking about luxury goods per se, so we Indians see the value in goods. Okay? So I think that's what is built in us. So you see a certain thing and then you don't see a value in it. We consider that as overpriced, and we don't eventually end up buying it. but I think see there is a lot of chaos going on in the region, because I cannot give you an exact picture of what's going on. So it's just my analysis, my experience. So I think we as Indians on an average see the value in it. But of course, there is a rising pop culture about the social status in a particular country. For example, a luxury goods. For example, talk about LV, talk about Rolex. So Rolex is seen as a social status, but when you're targeting the Indian crowd, you can only target the teenagers who are into the popular pop culture, right? So, but this is not the kind of market segment and the kind of division that we see abroad. So I think that's where the difference is. We Indians see value in goods on an average, and we make sure that if you're paying certain amount of time to certain for a particular product, we see the value and we see what is it that brings to us. So I think that's where the difference arises, and pretty much I can divide the Indian market into two segments. One is for teenagers, something below 30, 35 in one segment, and the other on a different scale. Right? So this segment is continuously growing in terms of a social status. So the social media influence is mattering a lot to this segment, wherein you really want to buy these goods which can set you apart, in terms which can set your class apart. I mean, that can be used as a social status. And there's the other crowd which sees the value in product. So I think it's beautiful to actually look at the Indian market and try to design something for the Indian market and think about the consumer base in India. And it's pretty different in the well-established markets in the UK, US, or UAE. So you see, initially our products will be customized to the needs of Indians as well as the needs of these countries. So we see, so there are certain cities in India wherein you can end up having the luxury goods sold and appreciated at a greater level. For example, Ubicity in Bangalore, or you can talk about Mumbai or Delhi in these cities. So there's actually a lot of diversification in India. And it's very important for entrepreneurs to study the market. If you're trying to introduce a new product in India, you have to make sure it stands apart in a certain sense, wherein it is giving a certain value to your consumer base, and it's also serving as, probably if you're looking for a pop culture, it has to serve as a social status. So it's very important for your brand to establish that brand image. So I think Indian markets are quite. I would like to say Indian markets are quite. Happening, right? Diverse and happening. So you probably have to spend a lot of time to understand the market.
Like you said, that Indian market can be divided into two sections, like the 30 and below and 30 and plus above product.
Right.
So when we talk about launching a product or a startup, marketing and communication plays an important role. But the approaches have to be different for the two segments, the 30 and under and 30 and above. So I have always heard two statements. One is marketing is really important and you should invest a lot in it. And the other one says that the reach should come to us organically and we should not promote it too much. Our quality should speak for itself. So what is your perspective and opinion in this marketing on social media game?
Right. So I think, so I'm going to be bluntly honest. So you see, so there's a live example going ahead for the later part of what you said, wherein a marketing, there are some people who completely ignore the marketing. For example, Tesla. So Elon does not believe in marketing a product and then getting it to consumers. They spend the same amount of money in their R&D. So then, so you make a great device and people are obviously going to know about it. But then there are certain companies, in fact, for startups, it is quite essential for us to have a certain segment devoted to marketing as well. It's very important, So there are certain ways of doing marketing. So probably some sort of indirect marketing, probably not directly through your company. You have other strategies applied, wherein a consumer is not getting to know the fact that, you can probably do this also as a marketing, So probably I can say, okay, see, I'm not spending anything on marketing. I do the product and the product speaks for itself. And this itself becomes a kind of marketing. You get it? And then you say, okay, so there's a word of mouth spreading that these people are not spending too much into the marketing. It's only because they're spending all of that into the product, which is eventually a word of mouth.
Yeah, it's kind of a referral marketing.
Correct. So you see, and in a certain sense, making use of social media to promote your brand is nothing wrong. So it's the tri-camera setup selfie that not a selfie, it's a mirror image that you take over your Apple iPhone, which creates a brand value onto itself, which is seen as a social status, and teenagers end up doing it, and that is creating a lot of revenue for Apple. That is that's a different ballgame, right? So you see, you have to have a combination idea. So it's not that you end up spending too much on marketing and then you people are disappointed seeing your first product. As a startup, I'm just talking about from my perspective, startup. Of course, Tesla doesn't need marketing, so they already have a reputed brand image there. So people have created a certain brand image. So I think initial marketing for people to grasp the idea of what exactly this company is and what do they do, and what is the consumer base, what is the market that they're targeting, what is their ideal consumer. So I think it is very important for people to grasp that idea. What is the vision of this company? What is it that they're trying to sell? So I think it's an emotion that we're trying to sell, and people have to get it, and that can be done only through right marketing. So I think it's going to be a right balance between how much amount of your revenue or amount of your financials you end up spending in marketing, and then make sure you have the great product as well. I think it's a combination of these things. Okay.
All right. Also, I'd like to know your views about a thing that talking about leadership. It's very important in an organization. So, what are the 3 things or 4 things, according to you, makes a person a very good leader in an organization?
I think the most important thing is, first and foremost for a leader, I'd like to quote Satya Narayan. So he says, believe in yourself more than you think you do. So I think it's the most important thing is believing in ourselves, so that we're going to lead this industry, and you believe in yourself that you can maintain employees, you're going to hire a great team, you can maintain a great team, you can make sure that the idea that you believe in is just excellent, and I think the first thing is believing in ourselves. Okay. The second most important thing is, I think this quote is this is an ideology of Jeff Bezos, where he says, you got to be as adamant as possible, you got to be as fixed as possible on your vision, but make sure that you're flexible with the details. So you need to make sure that you have a combination of both. So you have to be very firm and flexible. So I think that combination works out really well for a leader. That is very important. Third most important thing is, you gotta hire people who are smarter than you, and you have to embrace them. I think that's very important, and a lot of people miss this out. So it's out of pure ego that people don't end up hiring people who are smarter than them, or even if they do so, they don't embrace them. I am pretty convinced that people working in Asteria Beaumont, for example, the chief design officer, the chief financial officer, the chief technical officer, all these people are the best in their field. Okay, these are the best, and I got to embrace it, and I got to make them feel it, right? So it's very important for a leader to inspire, the team. So it's very important for us to make them, realize and make them inspire, and I think that's one of these are the very important things that I have to have in a leader. And the way you carry out things, you listen more, you speak less, and you got to be decisive when the time comes. So there are particular ethics that you have to follow while you're hiring people, while you're managing them. You have to make your team people feel empowered, right? So I think that's very important. So yeah, I think these couple of things are very important in the right.
Right. So talking about startup culture, and everybody is a CEO right now. So what, according to you, are the good parts and bad parts of being the CEO at the end of the day?
So the first thing is, everybody being a CEO is a very wrong notion, right? Because we want more CEOs in the world. We want more people who can follow their passion, rather than helping someone else build their dream. So, there's this quote which says, if you don't build your dream, someone else is going to hire you to build it. That was from Dhirubhai Ambani, right? So we need more CEOs, in fact. Not everybody is a CEO. We want more CEOs. And not just getting a CEO on your nameplate or a business card is going to work. So there are certain aspects of being a real CEO, right? So being a CEO is that you have to be ready to do a lot of things. I think I'm a mathematician. Right? I was into mathematics. I was into physics. I explored my ways in a lot of academia and outside academia. I've done a couple of research projects, and I think it's the hardest thing in this world, at least through my experience, is being a startup CEO. So if you want to be a startup CEO, you got to be ready to do anything and everything. So it's not just about taking 2 to 3 wise decisions every day. That could be working for an MNC. I don't know if you're an MNC CEO, that's a different ballgame. If you're a startup CEO, you could be willing to do everything. So, the CTO doesn't show up. You don't have a CTO. You are the CTO of the company. You are the everything. You end up going to the office. That's your office. You probably have a small setup there. You're the CEO. You're the only one who's working on it. I have experience it. And it's a very lonely journey. It is not, starstruck, or it's not the way that is popularized in pop culture. It's a very hard thing, right? So it's a very lonely process. So you remember the nights that you spent, those sleepless nights, and you end up doing the job probably that you don't have an idea about. I don't know how the legal structure works. I don't know the incorporation of a private limited company, about the equity, the ventures, the convertibles that I'm working on now. Probably raising our Series A funding was a different ballgame. Seed funding, all this, getting funding, getting traction, then go work on the product, sell the product, go do the marketing. I don't know, all of these things. So as a startup CEO, you end up getting a lot of things that you possibly wouldn't have got either way. So it's that you have to be ready to do everything, and eventually you end up making it big. So I think that's very rewarding and such.
Right. So you are talking about product development and research, how important it is while starting out. So if you could also tell me how much funding is also an essential part of startups.
Right. So I think Namrata, this point of time, I think there are a lot of overfunded companies as well. I got to cut this out.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can start your answer.
Okay. So at this point of time, there are a lot of companies which are overfunded as well. Okay. And fundraising is a game that you gotta master. Right? So you need to know when you have to raise funds. Okay. How much is the fundraising that you need to do, and in what steps do you need to do, in the best interest of the company, in the best interest of the investor. And you got to analyze this and then come up with the best solution possible, right? So I think, fundraising is important, but not all the startups need fundraising. And you need to know when you have to raise funds, and you got to be, you will face a lot of rejection if you're going for a fundraise. But you also see it as an opportunity because there are so many VCs in India now. So it's not, you make a list of the VCs. First and the foremost, I think, is the R&D. You need to know what is the amount of funds that you need to raise. That's a very important question. So you cannot just go ahead, getting some random numbers that you're just making them work out. So that won't work. Okay. So investors and the VCs pretty well know when, where, at what amount, what equity should they invest. So, carrying out random numbers is just not going to happen. So you're wasting your time and the investors. So it's pretty important for us to have something before you go and raise money. You have the product, you have the prototype, you have the golden sample, you have traction, you're generating traction, you have your business model, financials. Probably you've made something before, and that's going to be great. So that's very important in fundraising. That's the first thing. And I think, so basically talking about the R&D and talking about certain companies who need this fundraising beforehand. Okay? So possibly, maybe, I don't know, you're starting up something like, Asteria Belmont. Okay? We cannot have a traction, or we cannot do all this marketing. Okay, so you know that, pretty well Asteria Belmont pre-money valuation of a Series A is the pre-money valuation. I mean, we're gonna raise a huge amount, which I'm possibly a little hesitant to do this. So, okay, in a certain sense, you see, there are certain companies who need a Series A, okay, and there are certain companies who can do with the seed funding, the seed round, and there are certain companies who cannot bring out a product even after the Series A. So possibly what you have is you have a seed funding wherein it's not the product that speaks, it's the promoters who speak. So the investor is not investing. This is probably like the 1% of startups, okay, which I'm addressing, of which Asteria Belmont is also one of them. So what happens is eventually when we raised our seed funding, we do not have the product. It's me who's representing the company. It's me as a brand now. So the investor puts his trust on me, sees the numbers, because I have my numbers really clear. I am not. It's not like I got these numbers out of thin air. So I have my numbers here. I know what exactly I'm gonna do in a couple of months. So, and I have my early track. So I'm pretty decent to that. So I go ahead. The investors invest the seed round at a 400 crore value, only based without seeing a product, only for me. That is just me as a promoter who is approaching, and great and perfect planning on time. Okay? So I think these four things are the most important thing when you're raising the seed round. First is you as a promoter. What is it that you represent? Because at this point of time, it's not the product that's speaking, it's you who's speaking. The second thing is your team. So we have a great team, right? So we have seasoned professionals who are equally passionate to, make this dream a reality. The third thing is the timing. So at what time are you going to launch it? I think that's a very, very, very important. And the most important of all is the idea. So a combination of all of this is something that is going to raise the seed funding. Okay? So you raise the seed funding. After the seed funding, they have a prototype. So you go to a VC, I show this is the prototype I have, and I end up raising my Series A, which is going to be somewhere around 800 here. So I raise my Series A, and that is when the market is going to know things about Asteria Belmont and the product that we're developing. So till then, you keep things a lot private. So I think probably this is how it's going, and eventually I will probably reveal things about. So previously I think it was a year back when the first things about Asteria Belmont came into media. So that one of the firms in Bangalore is developing latest computing technology, the revolutionary computing technology. So this was just a little bit of highlights that came in media last year, and now I have possibly revealed some of my principles, and possibly eventually people are going to know a couple of things, and all of a sudden there's going to be a boom and the product in the market.
Well, wishing you the best for that. But before ending this, before ending this interview, I would like to know what are your thoughts on startup.
Startup, I think it's a great platform. I saw your YouTube channel, I saw the series of interviews that you were conducting, of which I'm also going to be a part of just now. And I was also there in the WhatsApp group where I found a lot of passionate people who have ideas, people who have connections, people who have funds, there are investors, there are entrepreneurs, there are serial entrepreneurs, and it's a mixed community of all of them. I think there have to be a lot of other companies like Startup Plains as well in India. There have to be a lot more Startup Plains in India. That is where an idea, an entrepreneur might just have an idea without any experience or without knowing how exactly should he go ahead with, and possibly that idea might be a $1 billion idea, and that's just dying out. So you have accelerators, you have startup programs, you have organizations like Startup Plains. That is of course gonna boost our entrepreneurs and possibly make their ideas skyrocket. That's great.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming here and talking to me and sharing your views. Well, it was lovely talking to you and having a great
Same here, Namrata.